everything. So my name is Aremu Oluwagbamila. You can call me Aremu SMOG. Some people call me SMOG Daddy. You can call me whatever you like. Yeah. So I'm a full stack developer, so to speak. I use HTML, CSS, JavaScript, PHP, all those normal things that we are either familiar with or we're not familiar with. So that's about me. And why did I decide to have this session? So there's this trend amongst we developers or web developers generally. So if you started web development like 3-5 years ago, so your learning track must have been something like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, then PHP. Then if you are fortunate enough, you sorry, I'm trying to unmute George. So then if you are fortunate enough, you will learn a framework like Laravel, and then life is good. But if you look at the way things, oh, George, welcome.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Good evening.
Okay, yeah. So I was giving a little introduction into this session and why I decided to have this session and all that. So that's what I was doing before you came around, before we jump into this session. So like I was saying, so if you did web development 3-5 years ago, or that would have been the learning track for you. But you discover that these days, the trend has changed, the ecosystem has changed. There is a framework, there's almost a new framework every day. There was a time we were hearing about Angular, there was a time we were hearing about React, we hear about Vue and all of those things. And for somebody who picked up this technology, like web development, like 3-5 years ago, it might be very difficult for you to stay at the top of your game with these new technologies, because even if you try to get a job, you try to work on a project, you'll see people asking for these technologies like, guy, can you use React? Can you use Vue? And all those things. And the approach to doing Vue, to doing React is actually different from the way you do jQuery or your normal JavaScript. So personally for me, it's something I've struggled with. I learned React consistently for 3 months, sometime last year. And after the whole course, I still couldn't build an application from ground up. So I had to go back to my old technology stack, which is PHP, Laravel, jQuery, and all those things. And it's not nice. That it's so frustrating that there are so many things you would do in what do you call it, in your normal HTML, and you still need jQuery in order to be able to get stuff done. And everything just gets so confusing and all of those things. So that's what I decided to do. So I went online, searched Udemy courses. I couldn't get anyone that was fitting or that was answering my specific question. Then the big thing came, okay, so why not ask somebody who's doing it already? And the someone I know who is doing it already or who does it actively is George. And I actually met George during my service here sometime last year in Umaya. He's an active member of the Google Developers Club here. And I know he's a front-end developer from Congo last year. And in fact, I saved his number as George Frontend. So George, that's how I saved your number in case you're just knowing. So I actually saved his number as George Frontend and all of those things. So he does front-end development, and I know he uses Vue. So I said, okay, so George, please, can you give me some time this week and just talk to me about how, for someone who is trying to pick up these new tech stacks, how such an individual would go about it? And George was like, oh, it's okay, that's fine. Then I'm like, if I'm having this problem, definitely not the only person. I'm definitely not the only person having this problem in the world. So we decided to make it public. So I did a flyer, we put it out there, and people have shown a lot of interest. So first and foremost, I want to appreciate everyone who has decided to join me on this learning journey, as George will take over now and he will delve into the specifics of what it means to be a front-end developer in 2020, the skills you need to be a front-end developer in 2020, and how you go about it. And sorry, George, before you go ahead, so I had a pre-session with George about an hour ago, and he told me the story of how he got into web development and all those things. So it's actually a very interesting one. George, if you don't mind, kindly go over that story again while we continue the conversation and everything. And if you would like to ask any question, why George is talking or not, you can simply unmute yourself and ask your question. So thank you very much. George, the floor is yours.
Am I free to talk now?
Yeah, you're free to talk this morning now.
Okay, good evening, guys. My name is Ikwegbu George for short though. I'm a front-end web developer, beginner, not really an expert. So let's not waste much of our time. Okay, I started my programming part in my 300 level. Though before then, I was into embedded system, assembly language, Arduino, IoT, and all those things. Because of the course I studied was computer engineering, so I felt the need of learning um, our tools. Okay, and now having the mentality we have in our place is just that if you are being referred to as a computer engineer, you basically need to know from hardware maintenance, that system maintenance and repair, down to software development and all that. But I had to choose my path. Though I was a little bit confused then doing hardware and software. So up until my 300 level, when we had a course then, I was the only person that did well in the web aspect. I used CSS, that was still learning. So my senior colleague advised me to actually venture into that part, and he advised me that hardware is only not like he's trying to give me a negative vibe though, but he gave me an example that for you to get paid or for you to get money very well, you basically need to be doing final year projects for people and for other schools for you to have enough money to survive. And I looked into it because you know how Nigeria is with innovation, technology, and all whatnot. So I said, okay, let me give software a trial. So in my 400 level IT, I took three months each. It's 6 months actually. So 3 months for hardware, where I got to understand the practicals of the theory things they'll be teaching us all through. And also and that 3 months for the web development session. So it actually boosted my career. And I used that period to even lecture some of my friends in software development, front end basically. So I tried PHP then, and PHP was not funny.
It
PHP was
ended in
not funny.
tears.
I Yeah, it ended in premium tears actually. So I ran away from it, and I was using Buckingham if I can remember very well. So in my 500 level, first semester 500 level, I had a strike, a long strike. So I started up a business, George Delivery Service. It's registered actually under CAC, Corporate Affairs Commission. Because it's still me. I basically deliver goods and services ranging from food to goods actually. So I built a site for it and shared it on my WhatsApp status. Am I talking too fast, sir?
No, don't worry. It's fine. I
Okay,
like the flow.
shared it.
If there's anybody that has issues with the speed, you can signify. But for me personally, I think it's good. So if anybody has an
No,
issue with the
for
speed,
me, it's good. It's good. It's good.
it's good. Okay,
No, it's
awesome,
good. I'm feeling
awesome.
it's good.
Yeah. So I built an app for it with just HTML and CSS. I didn't know backend, so I had to contact one person to help me and do the backend. We partnered up in the business. So when one of my senior colleagues saw the app, he said he loved it. That in as much as it's not really that flashy and all those things as compared to other developers he has seen, but he loved the part that I'm trying to solve a problem with my programming skills, and that was how I got myself a front end job in his business. So e-pharmacy, easy pharmacy, e-pharmacy for short. So he actually employed me to run the front end for his web app. The app was for desktop application, website, and mobile app. So we were partitioned into two persons for web, front and back end, two persons for mobile, front and back end, then one person, which was the CTO that was handling the desktop application. He used Electron, I guess, yeah. So, and the CEO told me that he really liked me, and now it's not left for me if I want to be in the team or not. So I was given a task to learn. Mind you, I only know JavaScript, sorry, HTML, CSS, small of JavaScript because I ran to jQuery because of the English there and the mathematics behind all those things are freaking me out. So he told me that I was supposed to learn Nuxt, and Nuxt is a framework for Vue. I guess you guys have heard about Vue, right? Baby child of React, I guess. So I was given 3 days to learn Nuxt, else I'll be out of the team. So they gave me lots of videos to learn both Nuxt, Axios, and everything. So I tried my best, and within the third day, I was able to complete the assignment they gave to me. No, I didn't really get the assignment though, but I was able to try my luck, and they said it's okay. I could work with them. So as time went on, I actually mastered Nuxt because I was majorly doing copy and paste. But I was really good at it. That I remembered what I copied mostly. So,
Yeah.
and then I didn't even know Stack Overflow existed. I didn't even know about
You
Stack
can
Overflow.
realize that.
Yeah. So, if I had questions, I would ask them because most of them are kind of they're already into programming, far
Yeah.
ahead of me. So I asked the questions, they answered me, they helped me out. So when the application was done, when we are done with the application, the CTO called me and he advised me if I want to continue as a front end, I would need to move with the trend. There are gonna be days where you see somebody using JavaScript, like vanilla JavaScript to program a site, use Bootstrap, use all those things to program a site, that I would need to learn Vue, then learn Nox. Then if I want, I'll learn React, understand? So I took his advice serious. I went back, I started learning Vue from scratch. And I think I did that within a month because of the tutorial video I had to Gwendolyn. I had to copy the link from my YouTube repo. Hey, repo, God, from my YouTube account. I'll send it later on so you guys could check it out if you want.
Oh.
So the lady was pretty much easy. She was very, very open. And that was from Free Code Camp, I guess. So my application, my final year app, I actually built it. It's a questionnaire application. I built it with Nuxt, but I couldn't compile it because it didn't really allow compatibility with code over that period. So I had to switch to Vue, and I had like 2 weeks to my defense to build it, and it was very, very efficient and fast for me. So basically, after then, I kind of promised myself not to leave front end because back end, you have to deal with server, you have to deal with HTTP header, you have to deal with, oh God, I cannot basically. So, and also in a team, if you have been employed to work with a team, you cannot do front and back end at the same time. I got to find out in the hard way. So why would you want to learn everything and end up killing yourself? Unless you want to be a freelancer, which is good too. So for freelancing job, I used Firebase as my backend. It was very, very fast for me. So with that, I had to tie my knots as regards to backend and everything. So that's pretty much my story.
Your developer story. Yeah, awesome. So so first and foremost, George, thank you. So for me personally, I'm sure that I know someone here specifically that will be able to relate to George. Fortran, I know you are here. I can see you. I know you can relate to you can relate to almost everything that George has said, like all the copy and paste and everything. And I think that's pretty much the try say the framework or the learning path for most developers. But like I've come to discover, it's actually not the best. And from everything that George has said, like, so I'm sure there are people here who probably just started out learning learning, probably picking up HTML and CSS and JavaScript. And like once you cross that CSS lane like this, once you enter JavaScript, like your whole world just comes crashing. The next day you don't know what you are doing. It just appears like like the whole world is against you. So like George has said, like everybody has a journey. And you just have to, so personally, what I tell myself these days is, guy, trust your process. And at times, in the process of trusting your process, if you don't know the right process to follow, you might end up in the wrong, in the wrong destination. So key takeaways from George's lesson is, so you can learn anything. So he was able to learn Nuxt in 3 days, even though he didn't do fantastically well on the project, but it gave him a leverage. The other thing is community. Probably if George didn't have that avenue to go and learn Nuxt somewhere and he was working on a real life project, it might have been difficult for him to actually pick up Nuxt. And that's the issue most of us have many a times. And so there's this Pluralsight course I'm taking. A friend recommended the course to me just 2 days ago, and I started taking it. It's by Daniel Appleman, also that's the name of the man. So anybody here, please go and take that course if you're interested. It's a scholarship by Andela in collaboration with Pluralsight. So the man was talking basically on learning and picking up skills and what have you. And he broke learning parts into 3. So there is the fundamentals part, there is the information part, and of course there is then there's the skill acquisition part. The fundamentals is, you know that if you're writing any program, you should declare a variable, you should do loops, you should set conditions. That's the fundamentals. Information is, with this if statement, I can say, check the grade of students. With this loop, I can get record from the database. Those are information. But the point where you begin to acquire skills is everything you've learned, if you're able to use it on something. And just like the man said, he said fundamentals last long, but information do not last long. Here's what I'm saying. So for example, you know how to use Vue. So look at what George said, what the CTO told him. if you had known Knox without knowing Vue, you would have had problem in the future because there are certain problems you would have and Knox will not be able to solve. And George, in the pre-session we had, you shared with me that you built your final year project first with Knox, but you had issues compiling. So you have to go back to Vue. So if you didn't know Vue, which was like the fundamental, which was like the foundation of everything, there would be issue for him to be able to like move on to the next stage of the application and all of those things. So instead of say, just jump at a framework, go and learn the fundamentals. So you want to become a back-end developer and you dream of using Laravel, go and learn PHP, know how to do almost everything in PHP. Then go and pick up Laravel. That way, if you have any issues in your PHP, you can go back to the source code of Laravel and do stuff. So there are people who use WordPress, and WordPress is a combination of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, PHP, and all of those things. You cannot, if you don't understand what's going on behind the scene of your WordPress or of your PHP, it will be difficult to tweak things. There's a project, okay, sorry, this is supposed to be fully focused on front end, but I guess we will just talk about programming and what have you generally. So since I'm the host, I wanted to give a case study, but I will not give case study. Case study will be left to George to give. So basically, George, thanks for sharing your story. So there was, so in our pre-session, you talked about thinking in data and thinking in structure. For someone who is already addicted to a framework like, let's say jQuery, and they want to migrate to, let's say, Vue or React or any other front-end framework, what advice do you have for such an individual? And how can they go about it?
Okay, thank you so much. The thing still falls back to knowing JavaScript. If you basically know JavaScript, you could attempt any framework of your choice. Okay, just like you said, the guy that was tutoring you, programming is all about learning the fundamentals, right? The function in JavaScript, the same function in C, same function in C++, same function in Arduino. Arduino was built from C, I guess. Embedded C. Sorry. So now, the only thing that changes is just the syntax in the language. Python is quite different with the way you write it, but if you understand the fundamentals of how that function was developed, you could actually write it in any other language just for you to learn it. So if you know vanilla JavaScript, it's easy for you to understand that, okay, for example, I told you how to pick a class with jQuery. It's just for you to put the $ bracket open. If it's a class, full stop before the name of the class. If it's an ID, a pound sign before the ID, the name of the ID rather. So you should know that vanilla JavaScript is just document.getElement by class name or by ID to pick it, right? If you know those things, it's easy for you to understand that, okay, this is what this framework is doing for me. In Vue, for you to pick the class of something, it's very, very easy. You just have to create a data for it, put the name of the data. That was how I told you that Vue is all about thinking data and not the structure. Because jQuery would, just like you said, is a DOM manipulative library, JavaScript library. But Vue is a framework. They've done most of the heavy liftings for you, and they've made it easy for you to get it. Now, back to switching to it. If you just know vanilla JavaScript, you can understand anything. People now tend to get React a little bit difficult to understand. Me, I don't like React, right from the name entirely. React is, I've not really tried it, one, and two, I think it's cumbersome. It's very, very heavy. That was why even
very cumbersome. Very, very cumbersome.
Yeah, it's very cumbersome. You have to import most of Redux, import this one, import that one. There was a script I saw on Twitter. I was like, all these things are important. I'll just import Vuex, and I have all of them. Gaskia, you don't need to stress yourself. So Ivan Yu that developed Vue, he actually knew that Angular and React, they were heavy. So he had to lift up Vue from there. He also made mention about the owner of Laravel, right? That he couldn't actually continue with React. He had to use Vue. That was why Vue is very, very okay with Laravel.
Like the dude, he was picking up React. Then he was like, what's this? So then he saw Vue and he just tried it out and he just jumped React like almost immediately. And if you make a new installation of Laravel today, one of the things that ships with it is actually Vue. So they are actually encouraging people to use Vue, and even every other framework that is built with Laravel is now powered by Vue.
Okay, that's nice. Even I don't know, I've forgotten her. She's a Yoruba girl, Ire. She has one of these, yeah, exactly. Thank you for that. She that was a Twitter post she made. She's an Angular developer and she uses Ionic, I guess. So one day she tried React. She was shouting on Twitter. Like, what is going on with me? Is it that she doesn't know programming or what? Because basically, moving from Angular to React, it was as if she's from another world altogether. So I'm not really a professional to tell you switch to Vue, but I would only advise you on what to use. You get, because I'm using it, and it's very, very lightweight for me. It's very, very efficient for me to use. So my advice, if anyone is asking me, is for you to use Vue.
Okay. So why initially this was not planned to be framework specific, but along the line of discussion, I'm sure that like we've all had issues with the framework, like and that's the whole point. Like say, there are a lot of things out there. Which one should we go for, and will make our life easy without stress? So personally, I've been picking up React, and I'm trying to learn Redux and all of those things. But for me personally, like I'm dumping React and going for Vue. That's just it. So we are not saying anybody should go and we are not saying anybody should go and pick up Vue, but it has been a great tug of war. Like, should I stop this React? And it is, I've forgotten the name this man called it. Like, there are certain situations in life that you've invested so much in something, and you feel like, I can't just let go of it like that. So I think I'm pretty much at that stage, and I just have to let go, that kind of thing. Yeah. So if you are thinking of picking up a front-end framework, Vue might just be the best thing to do. So, George, there's a certain trend I've noticed, especially when it comes to jobs and all of those things, because in the end, we want to make money. All the days of passion, they are gone. They are gone totally.
It's money.
Yeah, it's money now. Like, build solutions and make your money. I've observed over the time that for job offerings, it's usually something like they're looking for a front-end developer or a full-stack developer. It's very difficult these days to really see people looking for back-end developers. So the question, like, for someone who has a background in back-end, something like PHP, Laravel, and all of those things, how then, like, if I say I want to become a front-end developer strictly, how then do I manage my data? Like, so let's use Vue as a case study now. Like, where do I get data from? Like, I'm used to database, I'm used to tables, I'm used to columns and all of these things. So where do I store my data? How do I work with data and all of these things in my application if I'm going the Vue way or going strictly for front end?
Okay, thank you so much. JavaScript object notation, JSON, right?
Yeah.
So Vue has what we call a state management called Vuex. I don't know what it's called in React.
Redux. They call it Redux. In fact, exactly. It's not just one thing. There's like 3 things. That React is just so much. There's context API, there's Flux, there's Redux. You don't even know what to do with your life when it comes to React. Like,
exactly. But when it comes to Vue, you just have to import your states, map states, map getters, and map mutation. Everything is inside your Vuex. Understand? VS is just your store management, where in your states, that is where you write a JSON for your data. How do you want your data to look like? Like the app I'm working on, one debate application I'm working on the front end. You asked, where would I get my data and everything? I structured the way I want to receive it. Let's assume I'm working with a backend person, and the person I make an API call to the backend. That's what you call it, right?
Yeah.
Then I'm receiving data. I would have to JSON.parse. To get it into a JSON format, the data into a JSON format. Then I'll be able to use it.
Yes.
Then I'm already structuring my state, my store to a JSON format. So I'll just make the call to the state and get it. In fact, I don't even need to make any call to it. Okay, there are 4 things to use: map getters, map states, mutation, and map action. You'd use map action to make your AJAX call, your execute call to any external server and anything. Then once you get it, you will now use your map mutation to move those things inside your state.
Okay.
They made it in a way so that you would not really alter your state directly with your map action. You would have to get it. When you're sure you've gotten your data, you will now use map mutation to put it in. Understand? Is that easy and it's quite simple. So you don't actually need to.
George, sorry, can you slow down a bit? So all these map getters, map mutation, I will not lie to you. Even I myself, I'm getting lost, and there are lots of beginners here. So can you use like an example? Let's say a button or so. So I would. So let's say there's a login form, and you would like to check the data of the person, like the username, the password, with the login button. So can you use that case scenario to explain how all these states and how you work with the database and all of those things? Can you use that case study?
Okay. Okay, thank you. Now we're not talking about the back end, right? We're talking
Yeah,
still about the store.
front
Now
end,
let's
front
assume
end.
you
Yeah.
created profiles. Yeah, profiles in your states, in your store. Store is
Okay.
general name for states, getters, action, and mutation. You created a profile of the four of us here. Okay. So
Okay.
when you now log in, your username and password, if you click on login, those two
Mm,
things are now taken. You first of all have to import your states. That's the
okay.
list of the list of profiles in your system. Then
Okay.
you now run for each. Normal for each now in
Yeah.
array.
Yeah. You
Okay.
look.
You
Yeah.
now run it. Yeah, you look through it rather. Let me use that word.
Yeah.
If the password, if the username matches any of those things there and the password matches, it returns the person's data. Now that data is what you now use to render on the front end. That's all.
Oh. Oh. Awesome. Awesome. So okay. Okay. Makes sense. So instead of connecting to, let's say, an API, you connect to the states. The state gives you the data. You look through the
Yes.
data. You check if the person exists, let's say by their username or their email. Then you try and mark. You still check if the password is equal to the password they've supplied. Then if it is, you show up the data that they need. Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah,
Really
that's how you do
interesting.
it in front end. But if
Okay.
you're working with back end, you'd
Okay.
have to first of all make an API call to the server to get those data. Then you now put them inside your states.
States. Oh.
Yes, so that anytime you need it, you just have to import your state inside that particular component or the web page.
Oh.
Let me use web page. Then you now use it so that you not be making your API calls
Every
every now and then.
time. Oh.
Yes,
So
it's just one API call to import all of them inside your state. Then you now utilize it from your applications.
nice. Like for anyone who uses jQuery or what do you call it, or vanilla JavaScript, I think the number one advantage you would see from this is one, like if you are doing this jQuery way, you have to make an you have to make an
Ajax call.
Ajax call every time you need to do any action. So if you need to get the user's data, there's nothing like states, there's nothing like so every time you need what do you call it? Every time you need users data, you always have to go into the database. But what George has explained is you just go into the database once, get all the data, then use it to do whatsoever it is you need to do, your validation, to show up the users info and what have you. And if you need, so I'm guessing if you need to update the database, all you need to do is send the data to your state then sends it to the database. Am I right?
Okay, that's why I explained the map action, map mutation, and the states. Now,
Okay.
on login, your
Yeah.
your API call is made to go and receive the particular person's detail and load every of his detail inside the state. Then if you want to make any change, let's assume you want to change phone number, for example. You've
Okay.
provided a new phone number, you click on change button, right?
Yeah.
That makes a call. That makes your action, map action, makes that call it to the API.
Okay.
Then the new data received is now transferred to your state through the map mutation. You cannot alter, yes.
Okay.
You cannot alter your state directly from the action.
Oh,
that's
awesome.
one of the security measures they did for it, so that you know go and scatter your state. Yeah.
Oh.
The map action makes the normal verb an action word, right? Then gets the value. Then with the map mutation, you will now alter your state.
Oh, awesome, awesome. So basically, you are saying, so for major changes, you have to, you always have to get data. You send data to your state. You don't modify your states. You only get data from your state. Or did I get that right? Yeah, I can hear you.
No, you are getting every of your details from the server. Why using server is to store the information, right? If not, if you refresh, everything is lost.
Yeah,
you get
true.
So that is why you are using a permanent place they are saved. So you would make changes to those server and remind you that you've already written a script that pulls the information from the server to your state. So if you make any change in your server, automatically the state pulls it in and updates your information.
Makes a lot of sense. Now I get it perfectly. I don't know if that's still confusing to anybody. Does that part of...
They could ask questions, I'll elaborate more.
Yeah, so if you have any questions at this stage with respect to how to retrieve data from the database, working with state and all these things, George is available to ask the question. I understand that some of us might be beginners, probably just starting with HTML, CSS and all of those things, but as time goes on, some of these things will actually make sense. You remember that, that's that Zoom session you attended, they talked about all these state mappers, action map, or whatever. Even I myself, I can't wrap my head around it, but I'm sure like I'm dumping React. That one is sure, and and I'm going for Vue. That one is sure. That one is very sure. So if you have any,
I sent a link to the tutorials that I used to learn.
okay.
I don't know if you guys saw it in the chat session.
Yes, I did. I think you sent it to me privately too, right? I think you sent it to me on WhatsApp. Yeah. So I would ensure that by the time we are doing the closing ceremony and I'm sending a thank you message to everybody on WhatsApp, I would include the link also so that everybody can learn after this. But a note of caution though, if you are just starting development, if you are just starting web development, it is advisable you have a good understanding of your HTML, CSS, and have an understanding of JavaScript before you try and learn any framework. Like I've said earlier, it's better to know the fundamentals than to just look for information on how to get things done. Because if tomorrow Vue is no longer the easiest or the most interesting framework to use, if you don't know JavaScript, you will be lost. So it's almost like you have to learn from scratch every time a new framework comes out. So if you have a good understanding of JavaScript, doing things would actually not be very difficult. And in fact, with ES6 now, even most of the things that we used to do with jQuery, you can do it with ES6. All the selectors now, there's query selector in ES6. You can so many things. So please just go and learn JavaScript and what have you. Yeah. So thanks a lot very much, George. I really appreciate it. So there's something that still baffles me when it comes to all this front-end development, and I've seen it a lot on a lot of websites.
Okay.
So one thing I've observed though is, especially for products, I think the other website I've not observed that is trivaGreek.com. Is so many people tend to have something like app.theirwebsite.com instead of, like, say, for example, now if I was doing a normal Laravel project or a normal project from scratch, I can actually host both the dashboard, like the application part, on, let's say, the app.com, or let's use TrivaGreek for example. So let's say TrivaGreek.com, I can actually have a login, a sign up, but most people tend to move that sign up and the login and the whole dashboard to a new subdomain entirely. Is there a reason why they do it? Is it because front end gives limitations with respect to that, or is just an approach to doing stuff that is the fancy thing to do these days?
Sorry, SMOG. Can I talk some? Sorry for cutting you short.
No problem.
Plural sites has the same thing.
Plural sites, yes, exactly.
Plural site has the same thing. Yes, I just saw it yesterday, and okay.
Yeah. Are you taking that plural site course? That's the scholarship by Google.
No, I didn't say. I didn't see it though. I didn't see it. Please send.
I'll forward the link to you after this session. Let me just send it to you.
All right. No problem.
And
okay, you guys know about SPA, right?
What's SPA?
Single page application.
Please talk about that too.
Yes.
Yeah,
Please
that site I sent you, the Google site I said I was building.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that was built on single page application and more like MVC, right? That's what React, Angular, and Vue does. They tend to make everything to be on one page. If you're building with PHP, you could, although you guys can still remove it, you will see homepage.php, about.php. I know some can still remove it to just be about on homepage. Yeah. And that one, if you click, it has to load the browser to get to the next page. For single page application, everything is on one particular page. And that is why it's very, very easy for you to navigate. You made mention of it in one of the sites you said you visited, that if you clicked on homepage, the dashboard, it appears almost immediately. If you go to about, it appears almost immediately, low latency of time. So yes, that's the sense of routing, dynamic routing.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's one of the features Vue and all these MVC applications they possess.
Oh, awesome. Okay, yeah. So honestly, me, I'm short of questions at the moment. So if anybody has any other questions, please kindly ask George. He's here to bombard us. George is a big man. He was saying he's a learner. He's not a learner. He's a big man. If you check his WhatsApp, uploading codes.
So, Mr.
Please,
wait,
I have a question.
what stack are you on? Okay, I'm listening.
Okay, I want to do you have is there any community that you can fix us in, people like us that are still going, that are still trying to come up? Is there any
Abio, fix
community
us.
that you can, you know?
Fix us
Please, we have
somewhere.
to fix us, please. I'm begging
Okay.
you. Anywhere, I
Where are
don't
you
mind
currently?
anywhere. I want to fix me, please.
Where are you currently?
Huh?
Your state, your current
Where I'm in
location.
Port Harcourt. Yeah, yes. River Port Harcourt, River
PH.
State.
Okay, have you heard about
Yes,
GDG Port
yes.
Harcourt?
No. Of course not.
Can you see my Can you see my
I'm
shirt?
with
You've
that.
not looked
Like,
for them, Neil. Don't tell me you've not looked
yes.
for them. Because when I got to
Okay, he
Umaya,
has not looked for them.
yes, because I looked for GDG in Umaya. I
Okay.
even went to Aba, like, because I was so
Oh God,
much
please, I need to be part
like
of it.
go to check out meetup.com. You actually see all of these communities there. You can look for their
Okay.
recent meetups and stuff.
Can you send me the link?
That's nice.
Yeah.
What will happen is that I'm an admin in the GDG Mwahia in our own chapter. I would
Okay.
add you up there.
Okay.
You'd have to send me your number, or Aremu will have to send me your number. That's
Okay.
by the way.
No problem.
I just have to tell you the hard truth. You only need a community when you've already started. Nobody,
Yes.
you can only drag a horse to the river, but you can't force it to drink water. So no matter
Yes.
how many communities you join, if you've not made up your mind to learn, it's going to be difficult for you. Mind you, I learned that
Sure.
view without knowing pure JavaScript, but I was willing to learn. I was willing to go extra mile, browse online, download videos. I don't have any single movie in my system. My system is 300 and something gig. I only have 50 gig remaining. Tutorial movies, it choke seriously because I know where I'm headed to and I need to achieve that.
Yes, sir.
So it's
Yes, sir.
left for you to sit your sorry ass down and learn. So that's why, sorry, pardon me for using that word. You'd have to
No, that's valid. It's valid.
you'd have to
We gotta
discipline
do it.
yourself and learn it. Okay. So
Yes, sir.
my room light spoiled, and it should have stopped me, but I'm using my reading lamp to shine light on my keyboard and
Yes,
operate.
sir.
Understand? So no matter how many community group chats you join, it's still left up to you. The only thing is just that maybe you encounter a problem, just like Aremu encountered a problem and he chatted me up. Without that
Yeah.
GD Jumaya, he wouldn't have seen me. He wouldn't have
Yeah.
known me or anything like that. So that is just that. Then apart from that, if they are sharing some all this, just like you didn't get the scholarship program, right? Those communities they'll help. If they get the scholarship, send it to you, and you have to register and learn online. My first certificate is it Pluralsight? Yeah, I guess it's Pluralsight on front-end of development, and it really helped me. It helped me to pave my path in learning, and so I'm basically giving back to the community. So that's just it.
Wow. Wow, that's lovely. I'm currently Mr. George.
Sir,
Yeah, I'm currently like into Laravel, like as SMOG said earlier. So
okay,
and somehow because I started with PHP, back in school then. Even though
okay.
I struggled, like you mentioned, I struggle. You could bear witness,
We all
that
did.
no, it was my last mate. In fact, I like my roommate self. So
Yeah.
and the way that he had to pull me up and I gave up, came back again, gave up, came back again. For 3 years, I was struggling, standing, sit down, standing. But somehow, so I found myself like, okay, I got the basic and I got the fundamentals. So I could actually fit into Laravel. Like I can actually look at, I fit Laravel. Now I can work on some part of Laravel that conveniently.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that, like you mentioned, if JavaScript foundation is not strong enough, someone will struggle in any language, and
Yeah.
I think that is true. So I'm going back to my JavaScript book to dust it and start all over again, afresh again. I'm not
Amen.
looking at any land. Amen. I'm not looking at any way. I'm not looking sideways at anybody.
Now so.
But I'm doing JavaScript alone for the next 2 months. Seriously.
Now
Calm
so.
down,
Tell
oh,
them.
you jam arrow function. You calm down by force.
Abio.
So as it is now, because
Okay.
like Smoke said earlier, I discovered that I took myself to learn React some time ago, and I found it very, very, very complicated. So I never knew that Vue could be very easy, like you said earlier. Even Laravel, they employed Vue. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know why. I actually just discovered why now during this meeting now when you said it. And I think I have to go in the line of Vue also. But that's after learning JavaScript to some point. So I really appreciate you for that. I really appreciate you for the eye opener. In fact, it's really an enlightenment. I really appreciate you.
Ask for
Smog,
his
I
account number to
appreciate you
appreciate him
also.
more. Sure, yeah.
Oh, God, me, I know now. He's my boss now. No, be
Drop
as you
type and
call me
offering.
now.
Drop type and offering.
All thanks to God and Mr. Remy. He actually had to put it up.
Yeah. Thank you
But
very much.
since
really
you are good in
appreciate.
Laravel, just go with Vue. Vue is very, very okay for Laravel.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the best.
Do you know you have a way of downloading videos from YouTube, right?
Yes, sure. Sure, that's
Okay.
no problem.
I advise you go with crash courses. Start
Okay,
with
yeah.
crash courses first. They will have to they'll pick tiny bits of various sections and teach. Then once you've grasped those particular parts, then you could actually go for the full-time course. At least you will no longer be a novice in what they are saying. I started Node.js because just like you guys, you want to learn front-end bar. I've received jobs, but since I don't know back-end, I had to leave it. So I'm going back to Node.js. I got like videos of it yesterday, 2.something gig worth of videos online. So I'll be going back to learn my Node.js altogether. So it's all about improving yourself. Because if you day where you day, not be where jQuery day view live and run. So you'll be outdated.
That's so, sir.
No problem. What of Mr. Emmanuel? He has been off for long.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Oh, thank you very much.
People talk. I'll be unmuting everybody. Everybody has to talk. This is not. Can we talk by Adu Alpha now?
Guy,
I be all right to show you the learn.
Honestly, I'm learning, of course. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I've been following along. I just didn't put on my video because I was walking on the streets. So I was just listening all through.
Oh, awesome.
So the long and short is we still have a long way to go. But we are willing to walk the walk.
Exactly.
The thing is, after now, I just go and pick up my JavaScript because where I stopped was HTML, CSS. I wanted to pick up a bit of PHP, but I had challenges with PHP basically. That was where I dropped my learning hat, so to speak. So I guess I'll just go with JavaScript for now and see what I can make out of it before I start moving up to the Vue or others.
Okay, so yeah, it's the interesting thing. See, the bitter truth is you don't need to pressure yourself to say you want to know front end, you want to know back end. Even if it's just front end, know that front end very well. Just like George said, like he has been doing front end, I believe, for more than 2 years now. That's what I believe. I don't know for how long he has been doing front end. But this year he realizes that there are actually projects where he might need to do back end, and that's why he's picking up back end. So you don't need to know everything, like no front end, no back end, no the thing they do not even send yourself. In the end, you yourself might get confused. So just go for, should I say, that easy part? Because many of us, like many a times, why some of us are even into web development is because web development is cheap. With a 1 gig RAM system, you can actually do web development. But you cannot do Android apps with a 1 gig RAM system. You and the system will crash together. It's the truth.
You're not going to even put the studio. You don't put on the studio.
If you've gone for the cheap option, why not just stick to it and just look for the safe thing? And even one of the things that people are paying for, like if you go to any website, there is purely any website, good website that you go to that you won't see animations, you won't see interactions. Even if it's that's what you want to major on, face it squarely and know how to do it well. So even with your HTML and CSS that you are facing, like be very good at it, that there's no problem in this life that it brings that you cannot solve with it. There you get. So you don't need to know front end, back end, middleware, editing, graphic design, everything. In fact, like me personally, I just have to say I'm not doing graphic design again. You see, my profile is ex-designer. I've left
I noticed that too. I could remember when you were making gestures to yourself. That you can't believe you are back to what is it again?
Exactly. You should get so, and that's just because trying to build focus and all of those things, just to ensure that your energy is not distributed and all of those things. Yeah. So I feel that focus is actually very important for everybody.
And sorry, one more thing, guys.
Okay.
If you're learning, make sure the language you're learning is not going to be obsolete in the future because it's going to pain you. Okay. Now back to Prosper. Who knows Prosper? Unicode developer.
Prosper, if you don't know Prosper, who you can't know.
So there was this guy, JavaScript teacher. The guy had to unfollow Prosper. Prosper was shouting, "Why you unfollow him?" So this JavaScript guy, he hates PHP, and I presume he has tried PHP and he couldn't cope with it. That's why he hated PHP.
Yeah.
So now my contribution is, if you want to learn, I advise you to learn JavaScript. I'm not dissing PHP, guys. No, PHP is still good when it comes to server side. Okay, but JavaScript over the years is like this. It's going with the speed of light. It's changing things. With JavaScript, you can build mobile hybrid application that can run on any platform. It's cross-platforms. The app I built, you can run it with your iOS, you can run it with your Android, with your Windows. I can build the interface alone. I bet you're not a backend. I can build Electron applications that run on desktop, both MacBook, both Linux, anyone at all. That's part of JavaScript. With JavaScript, you can write server-sided languages, okay, using Express and MongoDB. So if you're going to learn JavaScript, I advise you to just pay good attention to JavaScript. Learn the functions, learn arrays, learn objects, learn how to manipulate all those things. You really need it. And with time, I don't think you would have to go back to PHP again for backend because you would be needing just your language, ready to program your backend and to be very, very fast for you.
Yeah, I think personally, Node.js is something that I would have to pick up because it actually makes a lot of sense. If you are doing your front end in JavaScript, and JavaScript also gives you the opportunity to be able to do your back end. Why not just do everything within the same framework and life becomes easy because the approach is the same, that kind of thing. So somebody is asking, and I would like George to answer that. He said, is VueJS going to be okay? Let me read it the way he typed it so that the guy will not come and assume. He said, is VueJS gonna be obsolete in the future?
I can actually see the future, but I would say that's a future impossible tense because VueJS is just growing.
Yeah, but
it's just growing. It's not going to be obsolete.
But the other thing I think is, even if it's going to go obsolete, you must have growth mindset to learn the new thing that will take over. That's why it's still important for you to know the fundamentals of JavaScript. Because anything that takes over from VueJS means that it is way, 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 way better than what VueJS will do. And the best thing you can do for yourself is understand the fundamentals so that you can jump on that.
Sure.
The microphone is on.
Maybe you should mute everybody.
Okay, unmute all. Yeah, God bless you.
Yes.
Yeah. It seems some people have locked that mute, as I just unmuted all like this, they were back to mute. Okay. Any more questions?
Hello. Okay.
Any more questions? Any more thoughts?
Hello, Mr. Judge. Hello, Mr. Judge.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello. Yeah, okay. Is it advisable maybe after some couple of months for somebody to take up an internship somewhere or like a volunteer somewhere just to get some knowledge, just to accumulate knowledge?
Yeah, it's very, very nice. It's a good idea because what helps you to grow, it's in your mindset. Now, writing a program, it's not really, it's like 2% of what you are supposed to be doing. 98 of it is thinking. When I learned about function, I will use jQuery. The lines of code was actually plenty choke. But when I encountered my friend Emmanuel, he asked me, "Guy, use function." I was like, "Function? What's function?" He wrote those 20 lines of code. I wanted to show a div. If I click on this button, show a div. So I picked all the divs in jQuery and I was hiding them individually, like 5 of them. You understand? Hey, this one will open, this one will show, this one will be hidden, this one will show. You understand? So he said he was like, guy, this is long. Try to minimize your code with function. So I would not have learned that thing. I don't have him there. You get. So back to your question, you should actually forget about the money when you're learning. Get the basics first of all. Get the experience. Get the exposure. Then with time, money go to come. I go to run first down. Get.
True. Very true. Very true.
Yes, sir,
So
thank you, sir.
don't chase the money, let the money chase you. Okay.
Grab
Any
it.
more questions? Any more thoughts? So luckily for us, we're able to use up the time, which is very good. So is there any more questions? No more questions. Should we end the session?
So I'd like to thank you for putting everything together.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let me do the vote of thanks.
Thank you for the class.
Let me do the vote of thanks now. Let me show my face and do the vote of thanks.
Okay, you show your real face.
Okay, so once the reason why actually, you said hello. I didn't get that. Okay, so the guy stop. So the reason I actually hit my face was
It will not be inconclusive at the end of the day.
It will not be inconclusive. I will try my best. So one of the reasons why I actually hit my face was I was eating. I had not eaten anything since morning until this session. So I had to hide my face. And somebody has stolen my food now. So people slaps me. See harassment. But it's okay. I will take it. We are doing it for Christ. We are doing it for the community. So first and foremost, I want to really thank George for this opportunity. Like I'm so like things I could not get online for days, hours of research, of Googling and all of these things. I was actually able to get it during this session. And also, I would like to thank everyone who showed up. Like, web development journey is not so easy. And I know it's even harder when somebody says, oh, let's come and learn this thing. Sometimes you feel sure like, am I up to the task? Like, am I the kind of person they are looking for in this place and all these things? I like the fact that we're all able to look beyond that, beyond, oh, what I can do or what I cannot do, and actually say, oh, this thing is there, and let's go for it. And I'm very optimistic that this has been worth our time. Also, it's a lot of thanks. Also, I would thank everybody that has helped this meeting come close. So I want to thank myself. I want to thank myself for not being too proud, not to reach out. The person that is doing that, God will forgive you. He will make everyone in the mighty name of Jesus. So I want to thank myself for not being too proud to say, George is just one person that knows how to develop now. Like, let me just go and do things on my own. I want to thank myself for that. I want to thank Donald for generating.
Oh, sorry, you asking that. Just playing around.
Hey, no worry. God will forgive you. So Donald actually helped with generating the link to make it easy for people to register. Like, in fact, when I was done with the flyer yesterday, I was just so tired. I'm like, let's just push this thing and let's leave. Because I was not even expecting anybody to be interested. So I want to thank Donald for that. Everybody, bro, Emmanuel.
You're welcome, bro. Thank you too.
Very much. Donald, you are this Mumu official face or Mumu official voice.
Now you show fast now.
Now, so can't teach me now. Me, I use
No worry, we go do another meeting for that one.
Yeah, now, no wahala. We go catch. Yeah. So everybody,
Thank you, guys.
Manuel, thank you very much. Mr. Oluwagbamila, in your day, thank you very much for coming around. Fortran, thank you very much. Like, I really appreciate you for showing up for this session. Like from way back, we were in the same lodge and all of those things, like programming things, trying to wrap our heads around it and all of those things. And we've always been there for each time. When something, so it's like the interesting thing is, it was actually Fortran that encouraged me to learn Laravel, but I'm sure he does not know because I was busy advising him to say, bro, don't give up, don't do that, don't do that. So he was picking up Laravel. I'm like, guy, I need to pick up Laravel too. So I went ahead to pick up Laravel. So that's like the importance of community, having somebody you can always talk to when you have issues and all of those things. So you might actually be helping someone out and you are helping yourself in that process. So don't seek to any knowledge you know and say that's the only thing you know how to do in this life. So coming. The only lady here. Thank you for platform, which is actually where I learned that learning is actually in 3 stages. We have fundamental, we have foundation, and we have the skill. Thank you very much. Malik reached out to me very late this evening, and I'm really surprised that he was able to make it. He even reached out yesterday, and they couldn't make it. So thank you very much, everyone. If there's anybody I missed, I'm sure I didn't miss anybody. Yeah. How much? They're just 6 now. I will now be missing somebody.
Yeah, we're plenty rich like that.
Yeah. So the recording, this session is actually recorded. I don't know. I'm not promising anything, but I might actually upload it maybe on YouTube or something, or as a podcast for anybody who would like to listen again. And yeah, one other thing is, so like 30 minutes to this session, I'm like, oh, so we've talked about front end and all those things. Like, why don't we just do a deep dive into like web development as a whole, like talk about back end, and maybe we can have some live coding sessions. So if anybody would be interested in that, and since there's COVID, almost everybody is not so busy in quotes. So if you're interested in having like some session after this particular one, you can reach out to me. You have my contact. That's why I encourage everybody to save my number. So that we can plan towards that. I'm not promising yet, but I'm just saying so that we might be able to plan so that we might be able to plan towards that in case a lot of people are actually interested in that. So with all that said and done, thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend and good night.
It's weekend already.
Okay,
Good night, everyone.
Yeah. Let me see. Let me play music now so that you will dance more before you go.
when Smoke turn DJ. Oh, wow.
Okay, they go. Una don't laugh me. No need for music.
You better like that.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, everyone.
You're welcome.
Good night.
Good night.
Yeah.